Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Do It Live podcast for June 10th, Saturday, week 11 of the Autonomy Season 9, and also graduation week for a lot of people in Season 9 Autonomy. My name is Michael or Miguel, depending on where you're at in the world, but I'm kind of impromptu hosting, and Jerry is kind of my my backup co-host. If anything goes wrong, if for some reason the computer dies or the internet goes out here in Acapulco, look to Jerry. But if that doesn't happen, we'll be good. So what I'm going to do, since we're doing this kind of impromptu, is I'm just going to go back through the week, and we're going to start with Sunday of last week and the things that have gone on each day in Autonomy this past week. This has been a big week. This is kind of the end of, this is the crescendo of the season for those that are in Season 9. And certainly for a lot of us, I myself am a Season 2 graduate, and I still come back regularly. And there's quite a few people that do come back regularly. I think it's one of those things where, you know, we've had 20,000 hours of institutionalized conditioning and programming, and sometimes it takes a while to break that programming. And for me, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm going to keep coming back until it happens. And so I'm on Season 9 now, and I don't know, does anybody have any thoughts on just that? Is anybody feeling like their conditioning is breaking? Do they feel like they've seen some breakthroughs? Is there any particular thing that caught your attention this past week that you'd like to talk about? All those things are open. Anybody got any thoughts? Go ahead, Dave. I know you got something to say. See you looking for the button.
I do indeed. I am just coming from an unbelievable breakthrough with another student session, and my technology is not my strength, but I have other strengths. And so this patient student 9 person just spent 3 hours with me, and I finally got my Zoom recordings in a place where I could send it to other students. It turns out my document file was hidden someplace, and I just couldn't find it. And she was so patient and helped me, and I am feeling on top of the world. And
excellent.
In true Richard Grove sales style, I was so grateful. I offered some way to contribute to her, and she is in need of stars and things that I can offer. And so I did. And so we will be meeting up as time goes on into the future. And it's so exciting. And this is only one example of how autonomy can help all people in our community. And I'll pass it on from here. There's a lot of people in the room, but I could go on and on. Oh, plus I have already done my graduation, but now I'll need help.
You're official.
Pardon?
You're official now, huh?
I'm official, but I have to tell you, because of the technology thing, I was asked, oh, did you receive your affiliate link? And I'm like, I don't know. Is it embedded someplace in these emails? I can't figure that out, but I will. And I'm not, I'll get there. And it's so exciting to know that this community can help me over time. And this is a beautiful situation where we help each other, we grow, And I'm just eternally grateful. Thank you to everyone here and beyond.
Dave, you mentioned stars. You're talking about like stars as in navigation and stuff like that, stars in the sky, knowing which those are and that kind of stuff.
And beyond, yes. So one of my areas of expertise is star identification and cosmos and how things are situated in our galaxies. And this is a really important part of my life when I was a celestial navigator. And when I started to mention some of the things, I could see the energy in my classmate light up, and it was like, oh, wow. And so I sent some things along to her, and we will be contributing in many ways, helping each other. And she goes, well, how much do you charge for your seminars? Because I did this all over the planet. And it turns out, that's not important to me. My currency is community. And I said, don't worry. But what I'm learning more and more is just, if you give and over deliver and everybody over delivers or has a feeling of over delivering, this win-win-win energetic situation is what the world needs. And when we do this, everything else will fall into place. And so I have no fear. It doesn't mean I don't get triggered, but it means that I'm bringing in more spacious awareness in every situation. And I'm really excited, as you might detect. So there's one thing, but let someone else go, please.
Excellent. Well, thank you. That was a great start to the program today. So another thing that I think has become apparent is there's a lot more goodies involved with kind of what autonomy gives to the individual once they get to the graduation stage. Has anybody got anything in that regard? And I see Trigby, you got your hand up. You want to add to the conversation?
Yeah, so last night, and I was really looking forward to the lecture, getting a chance to hear kind of Richard's backstory and how he came into where he's at right now. And as soon as I logged on, maybe 10 minutes into the show, my computer decided to no longer be connected to the internet. So I got my phone out and strapped it on with a pair of you guys might remember these. This is like back in the old days when we had earbuds. Okay, well, so then once I had my phone on, I just went for a walk, and I probably walked about 5 miles and came back. I got some mosquito bites by the end, but it was actually a really nice way to just listen to the event without being here in front of the computer and watching. So that felt good.
Excellent. Anything in particular on the lecture last night that caught your attention?
Oh yeah, I think there was a lot of it. Just this. I mean, one of the general rules of thumb is, for me anyway, is to restructure my life so that I'm not going back to work for the man. And I have, like the only job opportunities that I seem to get are with corporations, and so I don't know if there's an engineering job that I can have that is not working for somebody else. So anyway, I keep on tinkering with this gasifier. I want to get it working, and I want to get to the point where maybe I can turn that into a product that has some entrepreneurial potential around it. And at the same time, I feel like I'm probably going to have to get a job to tide me over. So but at least I have like my mindset is right to get into a place where I'm not ever dependent to keep my job. right? Like if I can get some control over my own destiny and my own form of income.
Well, I think that's one of those things with, with the situation with autonomy, the more that you're able to verbalize where you're at and where your goals are, the more likely you are to come up with some interesting solutions to the problem. And I certainly encourage you to keep that project, verbalizing what you want out of that thing. And I do feel there's quite a few different avenues that you can take to that, because where you're at, I don't think you're too far away from being able to crowdsource that project into something that might be something substantial that a lot of other people in the community might be interested in having one on their piece of the property, or their property. But with that said, does anybody else have any thoughts about the last night's lecture, or any of the new features that you discovered in the past few days or the weeks in regard to what autonomy offers? Because a lot of this stuff is new. It wasn't advertised. It wasn't talked about. If you listen to the lecture, the last thing was Joshua kind of describing all the extras, and that list is incredibly long. Has anybody even looked at classes? Sabir?
Yeah, the week was great. I was out of town until Monday, so I missed the Sunday Autono Toasters, but Tuesday was brilliant. The sales exercise, and I'm very glad I stayed awake. I unfortunately I didn't get a chance to do an interview myself. In the beginning, there were lots of people. In the end, I was very tired, so I didn't jump into the ring. And yeah, I mean, it seems like these 10 weeks have just flown past. Can't believe how quick it went. There's a whole list of people on my list that I still would like to meet in an interview. I met I met Trickery last week, and this last week on Tuesday. Also met Jim. He's also present here, and there are quite a few others which I still would like to meet. I hope I will be able to continue to speak to people when the season closes. I don't know what happens between these seasons. Maybe you can fill me in there.
Yeah, well, it's really up to you what happens. I mean, I think it gets a little bit quieter in here, but I think there's certainly a lot of activity, a lot of the things that are going on, weekly here, as far as the different weekly events. Most of those will continue into the summertime, and so you'll still be able to connect with people, and certainly with the lectures ending, there's that open space where if you've already kind of developed a habit, that's that opportunity to take that time and put it towards something useful. I know there's a couple of people that are talking about getting into the library and exploring some of the courses and doing it together as part of the kind of a Friday ritual. But we'll see. There's certainly going to be a lot of stuff going on, and it will continue. And I know there's going to be some kind of promotional things that go on, and I'm not exactly sure what those are, but there'll be kind of events similar to the Q&A, where it's either, or the what do we call that? The VIP, the very shoot, what was that?
Independent producers.
Yeah, there you go. That was one, and the other one was the goal planning session that we had, which I think were both great. I think I met a couple people that became part of the season 9 during those, and it was awesome. But let's just go by the week here. So last Sunday, we start off typical Sundays with the Autonomy Toasters. Did anybody attend the Autonomy Toasters that wants to talk about the experience? Hassan, I see you're on camera. You want to talk about your participation in Autonomy Toasters?
Hello there. I don't know if you can hear me. It's a lot of noise. I'm on the bus right now. I was delaying
Oh, you're
my
on a bus.
contribution until I get into a quiet place, so I can come back after 20 minutes.
Okay. That's all right. Well, I appreciate you chiming in, even though you're on a bus. Amazing contribution. Let's see, is there?
Mike, can you tell us a little bit about Autonomy Toasters? I mean, is it like Toastmasters? Or is there like some sort of thing that you're emphasizing that brings it more up to date?
Well, I would say, to be brief, it is much like Autonomy Toasters, and it started off as really kind of a autonomy version of Toastmasters, really kind of sticking to the typical plan that those of you that are familiar with Toastmasters would be familiar with. But essentially, the idea is to get better at running meetings and also playing the roles that take place in the meetings. So Toastmasters has kind of a format for doing that. But in addition to that, there's obviously the public speaking skills are kind of the primary function of Toastmasters. And there's a lot of other auxiliary things. But when the meeting is organized, there's a lot of different roles that are played, and each person is kind of assigned to a particular role, and they play that role during the meeting. And so it ends up being a way to kind of practice being involved in meetings and seeing how those things are done well. And then also the impromptu speaking, and then the prepared speeches, which are also given by the members. So it's a way to present, your offers, make presentations on things that you feel strongly about. Typically, when you first get started, there's an icebreaker speech, which is kind of the introduction, where you introduce yourself to the group. But then there's also the opportunity to kind of get some evaluation on and feedback on how to improve. And it's done in a really productive and positive way, which is kind of typical of what we see in autonomy. But, it's just another one of those kind of positive reinforcements of, building your ability to.
Lucas, do you want your ice cream, since everybody had cake and you're not going to have any? You want some ice cream, love?
You got a hot mic, please. Welcome to the podcast.
So you guys are having cake over there, huh? No, that sounds nice. All right, so Autonomy Toasters kicks it off. That's usually, it's early on Sunday morning for some people, certainly on the Pacific Coast. It's pretty early. I think it starts at 10 a.m. and goes for about an hour and a half. And then the next thing we do is the Q&A, which starts at noon Eastern time. Does anybody recall anything about this past Q&A? I mean, in general, Q&A is always something that I think a lot of people like, because it's a great interaction with Richard. It's pretty much off the cuff. Any question can be asked, anything about anything. But then we also do the breakout rooms. And this past week, what was the topic of the breakout rooms? I'm trying to remember. Does anybody
Valuable
remember
communities. But
Yeah.
Dave raised his hand.
Okay, Dave, what do you got?
Okay, well, I want to just pause for a moment and make sure everyone else has a chance, because I've already made a contribution, but I absolutely have something about that Q&A, but I want to allow.
Please share.
Okay, I'll go again. And so what comes up is there was this conversation with Richard about Mickey, the Great Awakening. And there was a comment about, when Richard said, "Oh, now I see why he was so compelled to do this project." And it was his brother had, I think, died, or there was some factors that contributed. And I kept thinking, well, what is it that is driving Richard to do what he does? And I raised my hand, but in my, in the same way of wanting others to contribute, I put my hand down. Then later it came up again. I raised my hand and put it down, and I never asked my question. And so now I'll fast forward to last night, and I was just too tired. I do better in the day. But anyway, I got my answer on what compels Richard, what drives him to do the work he does. And in his story last night, talking about autonomy and his story and his sales and his jobs and his son and his marriage, the whole story was so beautiful. And it answered the question that I had that I never asked at the Q&A. And it was so wonderful to hear what drives Richard and autonomy and this community to be the freedom fighters, warriors that we are, and what gets revealed, when it gets revealed, and the intelligence of the divine that stays hidden until it's ready to come out. And so thank you to Richard and Lisa and all of the community for the sequence of events that brings us here together today.
Excellent, Dave. Does anybody have any other thoughts about the story that was revealed last night? I think that was really, it is, to me, the power of storytelling, the reason to have the reason why is so important. I know for project management, my kind of background, I always felt like if you don't have a good vision, if you don't have a good reason why, when it comes to explaining why we're doing this, why we're building this building, why we're building this development, if we don't have a good reason why, and that goes down to the individual that's out there working, we're wasting time. We're making it more difficult for ourselves. And so I think that was a great example of, and what you brought to the table there, Dave, was, about understanding the reason why. It makes it so much easier to overcome the challenges. I think there's a statement that says something like, a good why will overcome any how. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but I think that's really true.
I would like to
Really
add
true.
too that, when I first became aware of what kind of trouble the world is in, because the crooks and the sinister bad guys who are in control, I was like, man, what are we supposed to do about this? I'm just one guy. How am I ever going to fix the world or whatever? And I've had times when, yeah, that's the goal. We're trying to fix the world. That's it. That's the goal. Well, and then, attempts might, I attempted with Ubuntu, and I have attempted other times and just kind of felt like I fell, flat on my face, because people just don't have time, especially when it's during times of relative ease. It was like easier to get inspired during the lockdowns and when people were in threat of losing their job if they didn't get vaccinated or whatever. When people are under direct threat, then it's like, yeah, okay, well, maybe they're willing to do something, but they're also more limited in what they can do. And now everything's more relaxed, and it's like, well, we can just relax. There's really no problem. And I still have the desire to fix the world. And but I've sort of, resigned myself to just trying to fix the stuff nearby, the things I can reach within my sphere of influence, like that. And to try and help people around me. And well, anyway, Richard probably ends up with the same why, but he actually does want to crack that nut. He's like, okay, I am going to fix the world. And I think the strategy is beautiful, because, what's wrong with having 1,000 people on your side working in the same direction, right? I mean, let's get 1,000 more. It's really the only way. So I'm on board now. I'm staying here, and so if ever I can help somebody, then I want to. And this is sort of like, for me, expands hopefully my reach to be able to do more towards fixing the world.
Excellent. Yeah, I think what you're talking about is something that Stephen Covey talked about in his 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. There's that idea of the circle of control, or circle of influence, and then the circle of concern. And the idea that there's a lot of things that you're interested in, but there's not much you can do about it. The weather, for example. You want to know what the weather is, but you're not going to be able to stop the rain from falling. And so, in a lot of ways, it is about being able to put things in their proper place. And, when it comes to, how we save the world, it has to do with the connections we have with the people that we're actually connected to. The things that we can actually, the things that are within our influence or within our control, those are the things we need to spend most of our time on, working on, and those are the things that have the greatest rewards and benefits too, because those things, and I think that's one of the things that we're learning with the masterminds. And I don't want to talk too much about masterminds because that's going to be next week's topic for Do It Live. But I think a lot of people that have participated in the masterminds have found out that just by talking about things and identifying the challenges and problems that you face, that it's a lot easier to get input and to get help and to find resources that solve those particular problems just within a small group of people. A lot more can happen. And then certainly along the lines of like building momentum and getting things rolling, that's where you can build momentum and get things rolling, is in those relationships with the people around you. Dave, did you have another comment?
Naturally.
You can just be the co-host.
I know. I want to build on what Trygve said, and that is, each one of us, if it's not that each one of us are trying to save the world, but the way we save the world is by becoming the best version of ourselves. And, we each have different skills. And, Richard is contributing in the same way each one of us are. And so he's a leader in a different way. Everyone here is a leader in their own way. We need janitors to clean up puke in the elementary schools. We need someone to build roads up in the mountains so we can get through. I mean, everyone has their purpose. And I think more and more I'm coming to realize, if I work on myself, if I become the best version of myself, that's the best thing I can do for the planet. So if I can get quiet and actually listen to my song of life and listen to what it is I'm here to do, and do that and not jump on someone else's highest values, then that's the best thing I can do. And everyone is needed. Everyone is needed to do exactly what they do. So in that way, we contribute to saving the world. And I don't know if that made sense the way I described it. I kind of started to jump around a bit. But, for example, I had this epiphany where, look, I'm a schooner. Richard is a Ferrari or whatever car goes the fastest. A Porsche or whatever, and, I wouldn't be able to keep up with others in that realm, but then again, if you tried to sail your Porsche across the ocean, that wouldn't go well either. So, or if you measure a fish by how well he can climb, he's gonna be really hard on himself. But anyway, you get the point. So we each bring what it is we do forward. And I love the whole thing about no master, no slave. We don't get infatuated or try to live by someone else's highest values. And we don't see ourselves as superior and better than, because that's a whole ego dead end thing. But if we just do what we're here to do, and everybody does that, then we win. Gaia wins, the cosmos wins, and we live to the next iteration of humanity. That's what I got this round.
So I just love that. I'm going to use that again sometime. If we try to measure fish by their ability to climb, that's ideal. That, it's like and Richard would say, you really don't want to compare yourself to somebody else. You want to compare yourself to your yesterself,
Right.
whoever you were yesterday. And
Yeah.
that's more fulfilling. It's more attainable. It's more realistic.
It's you against you. So,
Okay, so continuing on in the Sunday, typical week in Sunday on autonomy, we've got May and the Magic Bullet. Is anybody familiar with the May and the Magic Bullet, or has been involved with that? That's a Tim Flynn project, and Tim has actually done an incredible job with this, because I don't know if you know too much about it. I'll be really brief here. But Mae Brussel was a housewife that lived in California. She got interested in the JFK assassination. She got the documents from the Warren Commission. She started studying all that stuff, and before you know it, she knew more about the what was going on in the world than the FBI or the CIA apparently. And she became a very interesting lady. She ended up doing a radio show for about 20 years, I don't know, 15, 20 years. And those broadcasts were recorded. And so Tim does a kind of a weekly review of those episodes. And it's from the 1970s and 80s. And it's a really interesting study, because I don't think much has changed really in it when it comes to the strategy or the tactics that the system uses, and the people that are within the system, how they go about doing their thing. And so that's one of those things that I think is really useful. Jim, you've attended the May and the Bad.
Yeah, I really love them. I often sort of space the start time, so I'll get the little bits and pieces of it. But in retrospect too, I think in a way, may have been sort of the OG open source intelligence. In terms of sort of the methods are very similar to what James Corbett and what Richard's doing too. Just searching the information that's available that everybody has access to. And I find it it's a great conversation. And always everybody always has a little additional detail to the picture that's being painted too. So you learn, I'm always learning something different,
And that's, I think, one of the things, we talked a little earlier about it, like having a group of 1,000 people dedicated to doing the right thing. When you kind of look into some of the things that happen, and certainly, the situation that, like, the JFK assassination and stuff, there's these characters that are involved, and there's these same characters involved in the Bay of Pigs and the Vietnam War, and and the White House Watergate scandal. And it's like, man, these people are like little gremlins that just seem to be involved in everything, and it's a relatively small number of people that is creating all this chaos and havoc. And if that's the case, then, maybe that's something we can learn from too, is that, it doesn't take a whole lot of people. Certainly they've got a lot of resources in regard to money, but, we've got some ultimate resources up here that we can rely on that can solve a lot of problems too. So I tend to be encouraged by doing that. And so May and the Magic Bullet is certainly something that's kind of really interesting because it comes right before Grand Theft World. And how many people watched the Grand Theft World this past week? Dave, did you have any particular discovery you want to mention?
You're on mute, Dave.
Thank you. I watch as much as I can the first night, and then I have to go to a replay to watch the rest. And you know, I love the special guests and the way the evolution of the special guests happened. The school world order. Now there was something that when I watched the heavyweights talk, you know, the old timer guys who have been involved. I might butcher his name, Michael Reckon. Anyway, I can't say his name. He recommended the other guest that was on this week's GTW, and how fascinating to listen to the history that is unbelievable. We've been duped in so many ways, and I didn't know how deeply I was duped until now I'm hearing the truth. And not only is it, you know, it's like investigated, and it's like the forensic historical work that is being done, the books that are open, reading, and then discovering, you know, here again, you know, where Richard was reading Star Wars novels at a very young age, and he's a voracious reader, and he gets it, and so it's really fun to watch him have these conversations with other heavyweights. And I am just so fascinated and astonished at the same time to learn all the things that I didn't know. And plus, it's quite humorous and funny. I like the humor.
Yeah, there's a lot there. And you know, being that we're in autonomy, we kind of got special access to all the folks that are involved and kind of the backstory of how things are put together. It does add to, you know, kind of the feeling of power that I think I hope we're bringing about, that we have a lot more control of our own lives, but then we also have a lot more control of what the questions are and what the narrative is, you know, going out into the world, you know. And I think that's something that's very exciting about, you know, where Grand Theft World, I think, is going, you know, as it becomes more and more influential and more people know about it. Those the type of questions that are getting out there and the things that people have to discuss because of it, I think is going to be more and more exciting. So we'll move on to Monday. We got through one day so far. We're moving kind of slow, but I think we'll speed it up here. So Monday, I just want to touch on a couple things because I'm involved with some of them. I think I'm involved with all of them, as a matter of fact. Monday's a pretty busy day for me. But we start off with project mindset tips and techniques. And this week, the topic was project management as owner's rep. And the idea that it was an idea that I put forth, and it's really kind of like the ultimate as far as high reward and low risk as far as a project manager is concerned. And I kind of stumbled my way into that particular situation. But I just gave a presentation on that, and then we had a discussion. And being that we've got such a wide range of people from autonomy, we were able to tackle this on a lot of different angles and a lot of different perceptions, because my background is construction, but we also had people that were in software development, and we had other aspects of project management. And typically on Mondays, that's that opportunity to kind of start the week off. I try and give people a little bit of a tip that they can use, that they can add to their weekly kind of practice that hopefully benefits them. And then then afterwards, we do what I call like the open office, and we just talk about projects from people that are doing stuff in autonomy. And it gives us an opportunity just to kind of brainstorm on whatever's going on. And then later in the day, we've got for some people that are involved in kind of the extras that go on for autonomy. One of those is leverage, and that's headed by Rawad. And we have a leverage meeting on Monday afternoon, and that's all about marketing and kind of the ins and outs of how to develop your own marketing plan. And then we do real estate and business investment think tank, which this week was Daphne, who's an architect. She gave us a kind of an intro into zoning and how zoning laws are enforced and how you find them and what they're all about. And so that was a very interesting discussion. And then we had Monday Night Movie Madness led by Stefano. And Stefano's background is like video production and video editing and photography. He's got just an unbelievable background and kind of that art world area too. But needless to say, we're focused on particular movies, and then Stefano kind of gives us the background of how the movie was produced, who the people were involved, how it got involved, what was the project all about. It's a very interesting thing, and I tell you, I had pretty much written off movies a few years ago, but Stefano's passion for movie making and all the different things about it has really kind of reignited my interest in at least some of the movies out there. I know there's a lot of movies that are just essentially pure propaganda or programming, but there are some movies out there that really demonstrate, good storytelling, which I think is certainly something that we all need a little bit more of. Did anybody attend any of the movies or any of Stefano's stuff this week? Okay, well, then
I
we'll
attended
go.
that
Go
one
ahead.
movie.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jerry.
I'd rather hear from Coney.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been attending the Monday movie nights and it's so much fun. I thought it was just gonna be there sitting and watching the movie. And Stefano does such a great job doing the background of the movie, doing the research of the movie and the characters and all the story and a bunch of other stuff that I can't even remember right now. Multitasking right now, sorry. But I do enjoy it. It's so fun to watch it with everyone. And it's really like hanging out in a friend's house, just watching the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually it kind of fits into the other thing, which we've been kind of witnessing too, is the 14-day challenge, because there's a 14-day business startup challenge that Joshua is doing, and Stefano is one of those people. And so this is kind of part of his project to kind of get himself out in front of people and get his business rolling is really this integrating like what he does in regard to introducing the movies, kind of doing the background research and then creating that as almost a lead magnet for his other services and stuff. And so, me being involved in all that, it really does, see Doc saying something there. It really does give you, a really different perspective on, just one particular person's passion and interest, and then how that can roll into a business idea. And then, beyond that into a product or service that people can find valuable. And I mean, some of the movies that we've already looked at over the past, month or two, are very popular movies, but a lot of people had no idea of kind of the, who the people were, who the directors, who was the writers, who were the things behind the scenes and all that kind of stuff. So it makes it very interesting, but to me, it's an excellent lead magnet, because there's a lot of people out there that are interested in those movies that haven't heard it from that angle. And so then that leads people. But that's Monday. So then Tuesday, I know we've got masterminds going on through the weeks, but for me, the couple of things that I do on Tuesday is media relations. I know Stephanie is here. I don't know if she's able to talk, but media relations is something that she devised, and it's really one of the departments in Autonomy Unlimited. I think it's exceptional situation, because I think as we learn more about what media relations are, and I think it might be another word for public relations, but you know, there's just a lot of opportunity there, and we're kind of working on a project that really, I think, will make it even better for autonomy graduates, as well as the people that we work with, as far as affiliates and influencers and all the different aspects of marketing and all that kind of stuff. I'm sorry, I'm being a little bit vague here, but there's a lot to it. And this past week, we talked to an influencer that's out there that is a past graduate, and we just had a great meeting, and it was like, yeah, this is great. If we can do this, it's going to be great. I don't know, Stephanie, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I like how you had gone and we're talking about media relations too. I think Stefano actually, and I really liked how he described it as we could be central casting for the freedom movement. You know, anything you need, anyone you need, any skill that you need for your project or your mission that you don't currently own, just tell media relations. And Autonomy's got such a great network, such a deep bench. We can find somebody to meet that need. And that, you know, kind of came in handy for me this past week. I had a meeting with a content creator, newspaper publisher, and you know, he's looking for some help reaching out, finding people to talk to on a series of interviews. And you know, I've put it out to the community. I'm going to need some help. You know, who should be on this freedom fighter? Who's a freedom fighter you know of? So then, you know, the more minds in the network on the problem, the better. And then also, you had been talking about Stefano's project, and that also reminded me, or no, you were talking about Grand Theft World a minute ago. All those awesome guests that we've had, a lot of those come out of the network, the Autonomy and the Grand Theft World detectives and everybody coming to like Richard or me or whoever and saying, hey, why don't you have this person on? So I wanted to put that out there. You know, that's only so many brains. Like I've only got my one brain and my knowledge of so many people in the freedom community. If there's somebody that you think would be a great Grand Theft World guest, let me know. I'll take it to Richard, and you know, then you could see him on the show.
Yeah, and there's you know, and that's kind of one of those other things about being the graduate and getting your affiliate link and that kind of thing. Like the community of people that we have, the community of people that are within Autonomy, whatever it is that we need, or whatever it is that, you know, that we think could add to that, that's our opportunity. If you're following a particular podcast, you know, there's 3 million podcasts out there. So there's no way that any one of us could listen to all of those and still have any kind of a life. But if each one of us took, you know, a couple, then, you know, we start to get a much bigger range of understanding of what's going on, what is the questions that are happening, what's the narratives that are being told, and what are the things that people are missing. And again, this is, you know, this is where that opportunity comes into, like, when we're great listeners and we can detect what people need. This is that opportunity to kind of network that into this network and make grease those wheels and make things happen. And yeah, media relations is right in the middle of all that.
Yeah, and to kind of tie it back to something Dave had said a little bit ago, you know, we just heard last night what really makes Richard tick and what really drives this whole thing. And it's kind of creating a new economy based around freedom and giving freedom the marketing that it deserves. So if we do all have our feelers out there and this network continues to expand, we will become the new world and the new economy. So yeah, just pay attention, to people's needs and try to solve their problems and, do it with excellence and we'll get there.
Yeah. Hassan, I see you've got your hand up. You in a quiet spot now?
Yeah, since we are at the top of the hour and since we don't run ads, how about some poetry?
Ooh,
Okay.
poetry. Okay. A
So
poetry break.
at the last Sunday in Atona Toasters, there was no one to raise the toast and start it. So I happened to have read a poetry about freedom. And I have thought that freedom-oriented people may be interested in hearing some poetry about freedom. And I was right about it. Who thought that out, man? So this poem comes from the Palestinian poet Mahmoud Darwish in a long poem called A Teeth of Sage. And it goes like this. So here, not me, here remembers Adam his clay. Stands on the verge of death. He says, there's nothing more to lose. I'm free near my freedom, and my future is in my hands. Soon we be born into the world, free without parents, and I will choose a golden letters for my name. So thank you.
Excellent.
And where's Dave, my uncle?
Looks like he's away from the camera at the
If he is
moment.
away, I can say something. Everybody
Okay.
got their Uncle Dave. I didn't. And now I have the best of all time Uncle Dave, you know? So
Yeah,
we'll
that's
tell him after he comes back.
that's
And about
that's
Stefano, Stefano seems a very interesting person, and I don't know why I haven't met him yet. Maybe it is too late for me to join Movie Madness and media grooves. But I will catch to Stefano and see about media production because I'm thinking in that circle of broadcasting and media production.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be
well,
a pork fest.
yeah, he's definitely going to be at Pork Fest. He does do a video editing kind of tutorial class. He does one in the evening for kind of the North American audience, and then he does one in the morning for European and the rest of the world audience, or whichever one fits. But he's certainly doing his best to kind of get that knowledge and information out there. And I think that's another thing that I'll throw out there. When it comes to looking for people that have knowledge and being able to figure out who has the knowledge and who is just pretending, it's the ones that are teaching. The teachers are great learners. I think that's one of the things that you learn from teaching is you learn the most when you're teaching. And so that's always a thing to take note of, is who's teaching what. You might take an opportunity to listen. Okay, so Tuesday night, the sales exercise led by Phoenix. Who was there for that? I'm telling you, Phoenix has been blowing me away. I mean, Phoenix, I think he's what, season 5? Yeah, there he is right there. It's almost like
Phoenix
magic.
was there.
Yeah, Phoenix was there. And
Wasn't
man,
bad
he did such a great job.
Yeah, I
How
know.
did
I'm
you pull
super
that
stoked.
off?
Say again?
How did you pull that off? Tell us a little bit about.
I probably watched lecture 8 about 30 or 40 times. Quite honestly, that would be for a long time. That was my standard background noise. If there wasn't a podcast or somebody some chess or something, or some Tim Pool that I wanted to watch. If it was like, if everything else was exhausted, put on lecture 8 and it just plays in the background, and that's my standard stuff.
And then
And
like
it's the method
well, go ahead,
that,
sorry.
sorry, no, go ahead, jump in.
I was just gonna say, you get a lot of practice essentially doing integration exercises all day as a job. And so that just is kind of the proof in the pudding as far as what we're getting from autonomy, but you do a lot of practicing.
Yeah, it's probably 5. I think I'm up to about 20, 23 a week, as far as scheduled, consultations for the attorneys, and the only real difference between those consultations and a standard sales integration exercise for autonomy is the legal aspect of it. So there's certain things that I have to say. There are certain things that I'm barred from saying, which is difficult, but whatever. That and the level of rapport. When I'm actually doing it for work, the depth of the rapport that I could go into isn't as deep as I would imagine it would be for other products or services. Because of the sensitive nature of like probate, when people die, it's difficult to probe certain depths and everything. But other than that, it's really the sales exercises that we do here in Autonomy are almost a carbon copy of the method that the attorney wanted me to use, which was really why I decided to go work for a lawyer, because when we were discussing, we through like, I think it was three interview series. Did a first interview over the phone with him. He sent me to do a little personality analysis. Apparently I'm a maverick, whatever that means. Do what I want. And surprise, surprise. And then so like there was an in-person interview that I had with him, and we did a secondary personality analysis. I guess it was more in depth. Then I did another interview with one of the other partners in the firm. About a week later, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I didn't get it. Whatever. Let's continue working at the bar. And then I get a call from Mario. Hey, we'd love to extend you an offer. It's going to be in your thing or whatever. You're going to have this and this and this. And based on what Rich was saying, in the corporate world sales, I am getting screwed. And I'm super happy. Like the money I'm making is phenomenal, but I'm still getting screwed, apparently. I don't know. Value is always subjective. I'm happy doing the work I'm doing. It gives me ability to argue with people about the nature of government when they're lawyers, people that actually know how to form, Socratic questions and how to actually do, Aristotelian logic. But it's annoying as hell because they're so good at not saying what they can't say. Like they say bare minimum, the very least amount of a response that they could give you and still be accurate and honest and truthful. That's what they'll do. And it's so aggravating and irritating. But nonetheless, with the skills that I have, I don't have to stay there. If I don't want to continue working for these lawyers, I don't have to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that I think has been one of the most powerful concepts I've had to really realize. Is like, okay, I like it, but if I don't, I can go anywhere.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah,
first
you're
quarter
really
that we've been
establishing
there-
your value. You're establishing and understanding your own value, and it's growing by the day.
Yeah, we're like smashing through sales goals. First person to sell platinum plans. Their platinum estate planning plans. I've sold 2 of them so far. We just closed on the very first one. Last week was an amazing feeling. It was really good. Getting that extra $3,400 put into the account after doing nothing. It was awesome. But I think I'm 2 away from the sales goal. I've got a week, should make it. My goal was 70. Their goal was 50. And I think if I just hit right over 50, I won't have to worry about it getting pushed back farther or their expectations growing. And I'll be able to just hit that 50 mark every quarter. It should be good.
Nice.
But as far as the differences between how we do in autonomy and what I do in the law firm, other than what you're required and what you're prevented from saying, it's pretty much the same stuff. With the exception of like building rapport, just because you don't have as much time. That as far as I see, I don't have as much time to actually go into the weeds of, hey, how's your mama? How's your dad? You know, how's your truck running? I'm sorry that your dog got ran over. That type of stuff, because you know there's an end goal and a purpose that you're trying to get to. And so when they're discussing their situation, where they're at currently in regards to their time, money, reputation, it's not as appropriate to dig, I don't feel, to certain points. And I suppose that really depends on the product and the area that you're selling. And I'm pretty sure that if I go to a different company, sell a different product, it'll be a lot different. Once I get out of the legal field, I think it would be, you know, sky's the limit. You know, that all doors are open. There's nowhere you can't go. I don't know. That might come one day. We'll see. As of
Well,
right now, I'm just prepping and selling
I,
them what helping this game.
I would say that you've established yourself as an asset within the autonomy community for sure when it comes to sales exercises and knowledge and feedback. I mean, what I witnessed on Tuesday was, I don't think there's a better sales seminar out there. I mean, I've been to a few sales seminars trying to figure out how to do sales and marketing for myself, and I don't think I've seen anything better than what you were able to accomplish. And honestly, the things that, you know, your attention to detail, the amount of notes that you took, the feedback that you gave, the way that you gave it, I don't think there's anything better. I mean, I think we've got, like, you know, Grant Cardone and Dan Locke. I mean, they can't come to the standard that you've got. I mean, you're setting a whole different standard as far as I'm concerned. And
Well, there are areas that I desperately need to improve, and that's objection handling. I am not, like, when Rich said, you know, low pressure sales, you know, let them, if they don't want it, they don't want it. It's about building a bridge. The biggest issue that I find with objection handling and people not wanting to move forward with buying a product or solving their problem is really just the idea of contradicting them in a very deep way, especially when it comes to either money arguments or time arguments or value arguments. Like, the number one objection I get is, you know, I have to talk to my significant other, or I don't have the money for that right now. It's usually one of those two. And I've become accustomed to just being a second touch salesman. Just being like, you know, not giving them any pressure on that first call, asking them if they want to buy it. If they don't, they don't. If they want to talk about, if they've got an issue with payment, do you want to talk about creative financing? Okay. If they don't, they don't. And I feel like if I incorporate some of that dark manipulation into the groupthink and the psychological manipulation that is available, that I've already become accustomed to and aware of, just from studying the way the power elite act and operate, I could close a lot more of them than I do. And, like, it kind of feels like the Lucifer effect, just hanging, like, waiting for me to just snatch it up and be like, come on, it's okay, Phoenix. Just, you know, just say one little manipulative, like, just poke at that emotional appeal just a little bit. It's okay. You know, you're helping them out. And I don't know, I struggle with that a lot, because it would be really easy. It would be really easy. Because these people are coming to me in extremely emotional states, and, like, the openness for them, once they're about 10-15 minutes in, like, the trust level is there. I mean, I feel their walls break down, and I could just manipulate the living crap out of them. And I just feel that pull, and that scares the shit out of me. Like, man, how are you even going to be considering that? But I think it's kind of like a bias check. I'm hoping that's what it is. Like, I'm pointing it out so that I'm more aware of it, so that I don't subconsciously go towards it. But, like, that the dangers of that manipulation coming in, and then, you know, really handling objections are really where I really need to improve. Just because I think a lot of people in their initial consultations, there's fear and apprehension and trepidation. And for a lot of these people, when it comes to a lawyer, they're shopping around. And if you don't help them, they're going to go to someone else. But as long as they're getting helped, I don't know. I don't know. It's weird with this damn legal field. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can I say something? Because I was in that area. And one of the things that I think that people don't understand is if you're in probate or you have to go to probate and you don't do the right things, it'll come back and hit you legally. I mean, you're there to help save their butts because it'll come back to them, especially when it comes to property. A lot of times if it comes to any sort of transferring of any sort of trust funds or they want to do something on the sly, that's what their attorney is there to do, is to advise them so they don't fall into a hole where they can't get out. They can lose actually everything if they do the wrong things. And that's what the attorney is for. And that's what you're trying to drive them into that place, because it's a matter of consequence. And they may think that they can escape it. Maybe I ran across people that didn't want to change title on properties so they would legally be theirs or be their daughters or sons. But all that does is if you're passing on to your children, you're giving them a huge headache with a big bill. So how is that beneficial, right? It's not a matter of manipulation. You're telling them there are consequences to what they choose to do if they don't do it the right way, and you're going to do it the right way. And not only that, you're going to do it so that you're taking into consideration that you're not going to spend a ton of money in order to get the job done. And that's a lot of people don't understand that. You may pay an attorney, but the attorney is actually going to do it. So in the long run, you're legally okay, whatever decisions you make. And then also you have somebody who is looking to make sure that they're not spending a ton of money to get that project done. Ask any of the paralegals, they're going to tell you there's pressure and you have to get some of those things. Like if you're doing an asset list, you have to get these things pumped out, ready. Once you get the information, you've got to get it done. And then you give the client a choice as to, have you done it all? Have you told us everything? Because anything that hangs out there, stocks, bonds, bank accounts, and it's not property. Some people think, oh, well, it's great. I'll just wait because I think it'll become, undeclared funds. It goes to the state and the state says it's unclaimed property. Well, it doesn't always work like that. So you have to see yourself as selling the solution completely and with a layer of protection. Because no matter what your guys are like, your lawyers, because a lot of lawyers are not people, they're just looking for making a buck. But if they're doing it right, you're really giving them a valuable service that maybe another attorney, maybe that other attorney, it might take them twice as long. It might, or they don't do it right. Or, they give them, they just let them ride all over them and they only do the things that the client is going to allow them to do. But that's not serving them. You get it? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. Like some of the, I don't know, when it comes to that, to actually allowing them to like have space to consider it, I feel like I run into the problem of giving legal advice every single day. Like it's to the point where if I don't give them a little bit of legal advice on either process or something, it's much harder for them to actually make the decision to move forward. And like that whole aspect really, I think, cuts me off of the legs, because it's either break the law or don't help them.
Talk to
I don't give a fuck about breaking the law, whatever. But Like, I'm not afraid of that for me, but I'm not representing me. I'm representing those attorneys. And
Talk to one of the paralegals. They know the things that actually would get people in trouble. Because if they've been doing it long enough, they know the things that you can say. Because it's the same things that they can't say too.
well, I've kind of just gotten around it by not giving advice. I just ask really directed questions. Whatever the situation would be, I'll just ask a question in a very roundabout sort of way that it leads them down a specific path. I'm not giving them advice. I'm just asking questions. So I think that might work. It probably won't, but whatever. I think the attorneys are okay with it for right now. I haven't gotten charged yet.
I would say though, I think, you know, having access to autonomy and being able to bring ethical challenges to the table to have a discussion and having a community that understands ethics is more important than money. Doesn't that help you? Doesn't that feel good to have that kind of springboard to step back away from kind of the situations where otherwise you're just considering, oh, well, you know, it's just money.
That makes me think, like, there's so many ways to get money. Like, you can be a bum in the street, putting your hand out, asking for money. So there's always ways to get money. But, you know, being like ethical is more important than making the buck. So I agree with that, Michael. And Phoenix, when you were talking about getting that urge to kind of use some dark manipulation, I was thinking maybe the light is a polarity. So the absence of light is darkness. So maybe you're just like experiencing absence of light, and that's why you're kind of getting like an urge to manipulate your clients. So what do you think about that?
Sorry, I was muted. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, you were saying that you sometimes want to like manipulate your clients. So like you get like this dark urge, or you get an urge to kind of not sell in an integral way.
I think he was just seeing like that it's possible. Like you get to a point, you're like, oh, this is a lot of responsibility. It could be misused. And then, you know, so like that's like a shadow that spooks them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that's what I took it as.
Like there are clients out there that they're so wrapped up in their victimhood and their inability and their disempowered nature that like it would be so easy to close them if they were just a bit more, had a different mindset change. And it feels like I could poke at their emotions and manipulate them to feel a different way about the situation in order to get them to close. It's been, I'd say probably like 14 or 15 since I've been there. I've noticed this moment where if I poke at that emotion, their wall's gonna break down and they're gonna be like, okay, let's buy. And it's just like, I detest that. The fact that I would even consider it feels gross. But it's natural, and I think it's natural to in the world we live in, it's natural to have that response because of the proclivity for so much manipulation and everything. So it's just, I don't know, it was something that popped in my head. Like the Lucifer effect comes up so often, and it's so easy to fall into. And it's just something I've been trying to like make sure that I'm aware of, so that I don't utilize it to manipulate it. But at the same time,
you're talking about Zimbardo's book, right? Wasn't that the name of his book? Right, he did the Stanford prison experiment. So there's a context and framing for what Phoenix is trying to describe, in case any of you guys missed that.
Dave, you had something to say, and then James and Jim.
Thank you. I was curious. During the week, we had a brilliant conversation about, I forget which of the intermission speakers had a demonstration of what not to do, what was not ethical. And then when he recognized a manipulation. And instead of acting in integrity, he decided to, and I'm sure many of you here can help me remember the name of the person. He was a good guy, but he kind of went to the dark side because he said, oh, I can make more money. And he started to use a technique that wasn't ethical.
Yeah,
And
you're talking Alex Hormozy.
yes, that's the guy. So what my point is here, Phoenix, is the moment you recognize that someone is vulnerable and you could, if you choose, poke or manipulate to get them to do what you think is best for them or what you think is good for you or the lawyers or whoever, that is a great cue to stop and pause and listen and go, what is best for this person? Not what it can make the most money, not what can manipulate to do what I think they should do, but what is best for this person? And so every time you notice that, which is a brilliant awareness, stop and listen and do the right thing. And I think your awareness will allow you to do that more and more and become more and more powerful, not controlling, but powerful in helping others. What do you think of that? How did that land?
I think it makes a lot more sense. And I appreciate it, Dave. It's good. It's good feedback. It's good advice. I think trying to integrate that awareness in the moment, like as opposed to getting frustrated and angry that there's another opportunity that pops itself up, stepping back and saying, okay, stop. What do they truly need? How will they best be served? Not, how will I best move forward on this deal? But sometimes they're the same thing. That's the issue that I run into. Sometimes there are clients where moving forward and opening probate is the best choice for them, and they're scared and they've got some hang up, some proclivity that prevents them from moving forward. And if I just poked at them in a specific manner, then they would make the proper decision. It's when I first got up to New Hampshire, I met a gentleman by the name of William Kostrick, and he showed me that video of how to create a movement. And it's about the guy on the mountain at the music festival, and he starts dancing all crazy. And you see the other guy come in, and then by the end of the video, it's a huge party and it's a huge group of people. And it was all from that one first follower. And he pointed out to me, like, yeah, now that you know how to create a movement, now that you know how to manipulate people, should you, even if it's for their best interest? And I don't know, I've struggled with it. I don't think you should, but like there are some people that just won't respond to anything but that because they've become so accustomed to that manipulation from the society we live in that they don't respond to anything but that. And that, I think, is what really frustrates me. Go ahead.
What if instead of using the word manipulation, it's guidance? What happens then?
I think, well, words have meaning, and I think I define it as manipulation because of the deceptive nature of it. If there was no deceptiveness to it, or if it was just, these are your options, make a decision, that's guidance. These are your options. This is what I think would be best. These are your options. This is what will happen if you choose this outcome. This is what would happen if you choose this path. This is what will happen if you choose that path. That's guidance. Okay. The actions that I'm describing, I think, very much differ from guidance, because guidance is done in light. Manipulation is done in the darkness. It's done through deception and preying on someone's emotional weaknesses, and that's why I call it manipulation.
Well, I see James and Hassan have their hand up. So
go ahead, James.
I appreciate it, though. I appreciate the reframe.
Yeah, I think my comment is basically reflecting back upon Richard's experience. Temptation is always the easy path, and I feel like that's what you're experiencing at the moment. And I think when you're really operating with integrity, I always find those moments when you are aware of, you know, something that does give you an end to where you can leverage a particular, you know, emotion or whatever to you know, you know, get a results, you know. I think where it feels really sort of cringy for you is the fact that in closing that deal or something, you do benefit from that, even though it does benefit the customer. And but you know, it's, I guess I identify the good path as it's going to be a subtle and often a difficult choice to do the right thing, whereas the sort of the less than ethical, you know, gray area is often sort of the easy path, you know.
Well, that's the thing, because it seems like in some of these situations, the good path is making sure they solve their problem. And the only way to get to that problem, to get that problem solved, because of their proclivities and their hangups, is to take an immoral action. And I've long been of the mind that, you know, we're all aware of the idiom, you know, the ends don't justify the means. For a long time, I've kind of redefined that as the means define the ends. So if I'm helping this person do something good, but I'm manipulating them, that's not okay. It's not a proper way. Like, and if they have to be manipulated in order to walk down the right path, maybe they need the pain so that they will grow. Maybe they're not supposed to have this problem solved so that they can hurt, so that they can make changes in the future. I don't know.
And in manipulating them, you are taking away their choice.
Yeah.
So, you know, and you know, ultimately, I think, you know, our free will, our choice, that is sacrosanct. And you know, yeah, maybe anyway. So just my little 2 cents.
I'll just add that I feel like there's a couple things. That, you know, in regard to long term versus short term. In many cases, the long term is the more moral thing, and I tend to believe that you're going to find that even through practicing, kind of stepping back, you're going to get better at understanding, and maybe there are going to be mistakes that are made, but you're going to be able to identify the results by taking that moment to, like, in your own mind, in your own memory, take a note, so that when the outcome comes and it's good or it's bad, you can then relate it back to that moment and make the correction in the long run, so that you help the most people. And I think what Dave said as well, you're going to find that you're going to become more powerful in helping people because you're aware. Hassan, you had something to say.
So my idea goes like this. If you are following the rules, you will be soon overrun by a person who does not follow the rules. If you are follow the non-aggression principle and somebody holds the aggression principle and shoot you, you don't even have the opportunity to retaliate. So if the market is incentivizing the bad practices, that will be in place sooner or later. And the people who are doing ethical sales and not manipulating the others will be overrun by manipulators. And you cannot say, if I don't do it, the others will do it. It's not an argument. But you are always in this evil dog environment where you have to be more fast, closing more, getting more numbers, so you will be on top. So I can also describe this idea in something called the parable of the violent type. And it's easy and takes 1 minute, so let's me roll it. You have type A and type B. And for some reason, type A decides to militarize and invade the type B and enslave them. So type B now have three propositions, three options. The first is to do nothing. So type A comes, enslave them, and with that, the mentality of the violent type has expanded to their territory. The second option is to flee. Then type A comes and find nothing and takes their land. With that, the mentality of the violent type has expanded to their territory. The third question is to man up, to militarize, to defend themselves. But with that, the mentality of the violent type has expanded to their territory. So when one starts the aggression, it will perpetuate to others, and you end up with a world like ours, where you have arms race and race to the bottom. So I don't know how to break the cycle, and I sincerely would like to know the answer. And if we apply this concept into the marketplace, it can be applied and we can say see the same effects.
I have an
Hassan,
idea.
this doesn't happen too often anymore, but you just blew my mind. That was awesome.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a good Q&A topic to bring to the table tomorrow. I see Aaron has actually joined us, so let's go to Aaron. And Aaron, we've been
Hi,
in
I
your
was
absence, we've been
uninformed that I was hosting this week. I had signed up to do it, I guess, for this week, but nobody confirmed with me, so I didn't know. I have not been attending these every week regularly, so here I am, just dropping in at the time that I would usually peek in to do it live. Uh, Obviously, I didn't prepare anything, so I'd
okay.
love to hear a little update on, or not an update, but I'd love to be informed of what you all have been discussing thus far in here today.
Hey,
Well, we
Michael,
just, oh, yeah, go ahead.
there's a spot open for next week, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah,
you can host next week.
That sounds good. Let me double
Okay.
check my calendar here.
Yeah, that's actually the spot that I guess I was taking. I'm not sure.
Oh.
I don't know if anybody opened that up, but yeah. So yeah, we can
Yeah, I
switch
can
that around.
prepare something then, because this week I'm completely zip.
Okay, so we have been reviewing the past week. We only made it through Tuesday. We can kind of rush through the last 3 or 4 days. We talked about Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Wednesday, there's a couple activities that go on. The writer session. I don't know how many people have participated in that, but that's Sarah Roman runs that, and it's essentially a very simple idea, but it's essentially just scheduling time to do writing. It's been super helpful for me, and I'm so glad that she did it. I try and attend every week, and I actually do some writing every week now because I've scheduled some time to do it, and it speaks to kind of the getting things done methodology that when you take your schedule seriously, you schedule some time for yourself or for the task that you want to accomplish, lo and behold, you accomplish it, or at least you get progress. Has anybody done the writing session? Trigby?
Well, I just wanted to point out, I think maybe Phoenix wanted to dig a little bit more on what Hassan was talking about. I kind of got the impression
I can just chew on it on my head. We've got a certain amount of time. I know Mike's got a schedule to hit, so I don't want to monopolize the whole thing.
Okay, never
Yeah,
mind.
well,
Anyway, that
I
was
appreciate it though.
And we'll take it up in Q&A tomorrow, because I'd love to get Richard's point of view on this too. So there's that, and then later in the evening we've got Wealth Battle. Does anybody attend Wealth Battle?
Loving it.
Okay. You want to just
I'm
give us a little
terrible at my
description?
budgeting though. Oh my God, I'm terrible at my budgeting. I need to schedule some time with Case and to adjust it and like spend some more time on it. But yeah, the wealth battle is amazing. Lisa will usually give a presentation of some type on some aspect of escaping the rat race, whether it is building an opportunity fund or developing your ability to budget. And then I think it's once a month they play wealth battle, where it's a little game. You get to roll dice.
Is the wealth battle, or is it's Kiyosaki's game? I can't remember the
Yeah,
name of that.
isn't it called wealth battle?
Is it wealth battle? I thought it was something else.
Cash flow.
Cash flow.
Cash flow. That's
Thank you.
it.
So yeah, at least once a month we'll play cash flow, and you get an opportunity to roll dice, and you get to, maybe you'll land on a deal square, and you get to decide, do you want a big one, little one, is this a good deal? And they go through the whole concept of putting it in a spreadsheet and breaking it down into your budget, so you have tracking of everything, and you're tracking your checking account, and you're tracking the assets in your ledger, as well as the loans that you take from the bank. And it's a really great opportunity to develop these skills in a zero stress environment, where the only stress is, did I win this time or not, and how much closer am I to escaping the rat race and creating positive cash flow, so that you no longer have to work. Your money that you saved in your opportunity fund is the one working for you, and then you get to spend your time on your great works, as Passio would put it.
That's awesome. All right, speeding through the rest of the week. Center stage is the last thing on Wednesdays. That's something that Phoenix has actually hosted a few times, and it's what I'm kind of in the hosting mode. Darren is kind of the co-host at the moment, but it is really a focus on somebody in the community or some idea in the community. I think it's great. We've definitely had some great discussions. I know this particular week, Stefano was supposed to show up, and he didn't show up. And, that can happen, obviously. Trigby told us a little bit about different fishing, and we had a couple fishing experts talking about fishing in the Great Lakes and fishing in the Pacific Ocean, and the different kinds of salmon and tuna. And there was a bunch of different discussions going on, but it's just another example of the wide range of knowledge, skills, talents, and abilities, experiences that we have. Sabir?
Yeah, you complete that. I have a question to wealth battle when you're done with that.
No, go ahead.
It happens on a Discord server, or how do you get onto that?
Yeah, there's click the event on the forum, and there's a Discord link there.
Yeah, okay. I'm already. I managed to do that. So if you're in this Discord group, wealth battle, then it happens inside there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's straightforward. I've never attended anything on Discord yet.
Yeah, I'll message you.
Okay.
Excellent. All right. So if you've got any
Yeah,
problems there.
would you message me too, please? Because I had been trying to get into wealth battle, and it turned out that I had a link to get into the Zoom meeting, and it had a capital Z in Zoom, and that forbade me from getting in, evidently. And all I needed to do was use a lowercase z in the I didn't even know that was possible. Anyway, I think maybe next week is going to be on Discord. And when I went to Discord, it said, I can't remember what it was, but it looked like something that you needed to pay for. So then I got sheepish.
There is a subscription model, but the Wealth Battle Wednesday meetings are free. There's an opportunity for joining the membership. It's like $100 a month. It's really great. It's amazing value. The time that you're spent and the ability and the bonuses and the perks that you get from joining their community, it's amazing. But it's not required for the Wednesday meetups at all.
Okay, so that's $100 a month for Wealth Battle, or is that for Discord?
No, that's for the
free.
Wealth Battle membership. Yeah, Discord's
Okay.
free.
Okay. Thanks.
I'll create a group between you, Sabir, and
Mhm.
myself, and I'll make sure we can all get into the wealth battle.
All right. Thanks.
And if
Jerry, can you add
anybody-
me to that? Because I've been trying to find that link to give to people and I am
Yeah.
technologically ignorant.
I got you.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Another problem solved. All right, Thursday. Anybody do any of the, let's see, so on Thursday, we've got a number of things. I actually attended a face reading class with Agnieszka, which, it's kind of outside of autonomy. Agnieszka is one of our, founding members almost. She's been here since the beginning, and she's doing her face reading class for the first time, which is another kind of example of, moving along with your talents and abilities into that product or service. But she's definitely demonstrating she's got something super valuable. It's almost like learning another language. I know Sabir, I see him in my class, and it's unbelievable. It's like this language that we all kind of at a subconscious level kind of understand to some degree, but taking it to that next level opens up a lot of opportunities about learning about ourselves, learning about other people, being a lot more cautious about making judgments about what people say before you run to the conclusion that this is where they're at when it's actually a lot different. And that understanding that language that people, with their face and with their body and their actions, super powerful. And I highly recommend if you get any time to talk to Agnieszka about it, do so. We do the AU marketing meeting on Thursday, which I've always said is one of the best meetings that I've ever been involved in. That's for the Autonomy Unlimited folks, but it's a great meeting. And then there's the media production meeting that happens after that. And currently we've been, and again, Stefano's influence, we're actually creating like a little mini project that people can participate in. And this one we're doing is kind of an ad for autonomy. And it's based on a Monty Python skit. And so we're taking a new script and we're rewriting it, and then we're performing it, and then we're putting that into a video, and then we're changing up the video. I don't know if we're going to be using AI to change the mouths of the people, but I know Jane participated in that this week. Jane,
Yes.
is it fun? You feel like we're having
It
some
was fun. We just recorded the voiceover. So I haven't seen the product with the sync yet, but I know that was supposed to come out. I know everybody's busy, so just waiting to see what it looks like. And then I think after that, I think they're going to be doing some graphics and things, integrating that into there, and hopefully finish the product up very soon, actually, before Pork Fest.
Yeah. I had some fun. We're trying to do our English accent, so everybody's talking in an English accent. It's hilarious. And then Stefano did a video editing class on Thursday night, and he also does one on Friday morning. But moving to Friday, we've got AI tools, and that's something new. It's just a 30-minute excerpt of kind of new AI tools that are out there. And did anybody attend that? Man, I'm telling you, you can't miss this thing because there's so many new tools coming out. I think Joshua said there's something like 2,000 or 3,000 AI products coming out every month. So Dave, you were there?
Yes, I was there, and I find that fascinating. I'm hesitant to use the tools. I'm more on the ethical side, and yet I know it's important to become familiar with all the tools. And I think Joshua is doing a fantastic job And I still want to see his movie from Exit and Build. I've got so many things going on now as a result of autonomy. I'm doing more than I've ever done. And so I'm trying to keep up. But the AI ethics is really dear to my heart. And I think this is a really important thing. Although I'm not using the tools, I'm really interested in this topic and what is possible.
Yeah, I think we're having a good discussion. Leah is involved in, it seems like she's got a segment every week on kind of the ethics of what's happening in the AI world. And I think it's a great, it's a great perspective on what's going on. I certainly think there's some interesting and dangerous things out there. I mean, this personal.ai was one of the tools that Joshua highlighted, and it's a pretty wild tool because it's like one of those that the celebrities could use, where they can use the AI to basically manage their social media, and they can get the AI to answer like each of the people that are talking to them. So it's like there's that potential that people could be talking to who they think is their favorite celebrity or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's really they're talking to an AI bot.
Yes, yes. He was talking about, so what do you think about this? And I think the general consensus was there's no way to know what the truth is. And we're going faster and faster into not being able to discern the truth. And I'm actually, when I do my exercise on the treadmill, I listen to this book called Scary Smart by one of the Google guys. And he is suggesting that it's not all doomsday stuff. And I love what Leah was saying. We can, although it's, how we use this tool, not that the tool is good or bad or conscious or unconscious. And listening to this book, Scary Smart, I'm in the last couple of chapters now, and he's got some wonderful possibilities. And at this point, that's all they are, is possibilities. We have to wait and see. But meanwhile, focus on what is good and true in the world, and that's the best thing we can do. Don't buy into the fear.
That's always a good indicator of putting the antennas up, is when they're using fear. You've got to be very skeptical of what the message is and who the messenger is and where's the money coming from behind the message. Those are all things to ask. Okay, Friday afternoon we did the copywriting. The copywriting clinic comes once a month, and I think it's the second Friday of each month that Kara and Agnieszka come together and instruct us on copywriting. And I'm telling you, it's always a good thing. It's always an interesting discussion. We're always evaluating some copywriting, whether it be a landing page or a website or an email campaign. It's always something to learn. There's a great deal of knowledge that we have. I mean, Kara and Agnieszka are just a great team. They work together. They each have their own kind of personality, and it's always good. So if you haven't checked out the copywriting clinic, I've certainly learned. It's definitely encouraged me to be a writer. I mean, I do write stuff every week now. I'm doing SEO copywriting with Rawad on a regular basis now.
How
And
did
it's
that
all
go this
because-
week?
Well, I mean,
Kara's copywriting clinic.
oh, it was great. I think we evaluated a particular landing page. One of the graduates had a landing page that they're preparing, and we got to evaluate it and talk all about different things about it. So it's always a learning experience. And then, of course, it's we had the Pork Fest meeting too. I didn't get to attend that because I was in the copywriting clinic, but did anybody attend the Pork Fest planning meeting this week? Going once, going twice. Okay. Oh, James, Jim.
Yes, I've been attending that. And it's, well, I've never been before, so it's helping me ask, well, what I consider important questions. But yeah, and it's really making me, it's building up my anticipation for it too. So I'm really excited about attending.
Yeah, well,
So-
I certainly, I mean, one of the reasons that I wanted to do it is just that kind of event planning to know how it's done right, because I know that it's come off really well in the past, and we just keep like raising the bar as far as how many people are going, what are the activities that are going on there. There's, there's speakers, there's food being prepared, there's
Yeah.
all kinds of other activities going on. And because we've got a plan and people come together beforehand to kind of make sure that everything is taken care of before, it runs relatively smoothly. I don't know if anybody can touch on
Well,
that.
of course, I've never been before, but what I'm envisioning is that I think all this pre-planning is really going to make what we're doing there stand out. So, I really can't help but feel like it's going to really attract a lot of people to what autonomy is offering. So,
Excellent.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see in the latest AI's podcast, Joshua's cards, his business cards for his 14-day challenge from idea to income. So yeah, look out for that.
Yeah, awesome. And then Friday ends with the lecture, and this week was the graduation lecture. We kind of switched it around because of the Port Fest planning and all that stuff that's going on. So this week was the graduation part. And again, I think we kind of touched on this a little at the beginning of the show, but does anybody have any additional thoughts about the lecture last night? Or
Yeah, I got
anything that
something.
Go ahead.
So it was like synchronistic in a way, because I had an epiphany. I might have been earlier that morning when I was like researching Mark Passer's work, and it was about your rights. So it's like a right it's an action, so it's a thing, it's a noun, so it's like a property. So then that got me thinking, wait, so life is property. So when Richard was talking about like the slide, like how you living, I was feeling like so strongly about that. I was like I'm looking at it like my life is a property. So it's up to me to maintain it and like live the way I want to live, like the best life ever. It's really in my hands. So I love that slide.
Yeah, it certainly makes the question, how you living, much more impactful. So I guess the last thing I've got is just Saturday morning, which we do the Great Books Club. I attended that. I've attended that for I don't know, is it like 4 years it's been going on? I know we've been on Aristotle, the I don't want to mispronounce the but it's posterior analytics and all that collection of books. We've been on that for, I don't know, 16, 18 months now. And it's incredible. I mean, I feel like I'm prepared to go out into the world and talk about things that I certainly wasn't able to talk about prior to interacting with autonomy, and certainly the people that Daniel and his wife S are kind of the key figures in that one, but they are incredibly well read in this particular area, and I think it's great. And I would highly encourage you forth, and we're going to do we're gonna watch along in a review of the debate between Baldwin and what's the other guy's name? William F. Buckley, that debate from 1965. We're going to review that debate using all the tools that we've learned from Aristotle. So that's next, or not next Saturday, but the Saturday after next. So if you're interested in that, that'll be happening in the morning. But with that, that kind of completes a typical week in autonomy. And does anybody have any final comments before we close this thing out?
Well, Agnieszka also does the face reading too on Saturdays also.
Oh,
in the
yeah.
morning.
So there's two classes on that she's running there.
So are these activities going to continue after graduation?
Yeah, for the most part, most of the stuff that's going on that's kind of run by the students or run by the graduates will continue. And I'm sure there'll be other things that'll pop up that will be happening. And I know we'll be doing some extracurricular stuff and some promotional stuff for the next season. So there'll definitely be plenty of activity continuing to happen. And so if you're in the forum or kind of monitoring what's going on in the forum, you will see activity continuing. Just checking out the events. We actually, I guess one of the other things that happened this week is we kind of reintegrated Discord, and the Discord dojo rooms back into the kind of the plan. Anybody have any thoughts about that experience?
I thought it was good, but I got kicked out when people were still practicing, and I haven't been able to get back in there to dojo rooms. I'm not sure I don't know what happened, but I don't even see them on here.
All right, well, maybe somebody will have to do a Loom video on exactly how to get that stuff done, and they can post it in the forum.
Yeah, that would be
I don't know,
helpful.
Jerry, is that-
I'm on Wealth Battle because I had signed up for one of the classes, but now I can't get into the autonomy and not into any of the dojo rooms. So
Sounds like Richard needs to grant you access.
he did grant me access, and I was in there, and then when I got kicked out, it doesn't let me do anything. So even when I do the browse, I still don't see it. So
Yeah. You might have to uninstall Discord, reinstall it, try some troubleshooting, and see if, always message Joshua or myself if you need assistance.
okay,
All right.
that's good.
Well, on that, I guess I'll go ahead and say, let's hit the outro. And I want to just thank everybody for playing along. I certainly enjoyed the interaction. I greatly appreciate all the comments and the discussion that we had. I see Phoenix is still there. He was definitely a big contributor this week, and I certainly appreciate his contribution to the Do It Live as well.
Always a pleasure and an honor.
And with that, let's hit the outro.
Up, stop.
Oh,
Okay.
one other thing.
I still don't see this. I'm on the Discord app now, but I don't get into this. I'm still not sure what to do with this wealth battle. Jerry, you can stop the recording or what? This is maybe we can sort it out, Strictly and myself and Jerry afterwards.
Check out wealthbattle.com. They've got a series of videos. Educate yourself on what IBORSI is. Go to their website, and it'll be a good starting place.
Yeah, I'll help you once we're done with this outro, Sabir.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll stay here. We're just gonna hit the outro and close out the official show.
Bye,
Okay.
guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Ready, set, go.